Back with this breakdown of the Eagles roster by round. The players were drafted in. They compiled the list on the My Teams app by our Dave Zangaro. 8 first-rounders on the roster, 7 from the second round. Meanwhile, 15 guys on the roster weren't drafted at all. That list headlined by Jason Peters. Barrett, you surprised by all this?
Well, you know, hey, when you play football, if you're good, they will find you. And they just happen to go out there and find some diamonds in the rough. And Jason Peters had to be one of them. But there's a lot of guys that don't necessarily get drafted where they're supposed to. You know, so, you know, it really depends on my draft. Like, even with my draft, I had, you know, a draft where I was supposed to be in the first round.
Yep.
But it was a draft where everything got messed up. In fact, you know, Warren Sapp tested positive for, you know, smoking marijuana, and like 12 other players got, you know, tested also. So it kind of mixed up where the draft went. I went to the second round. Guys got pushed up, you know, like Michael Mula into the first round. So it really depends on when you get there, staying there and being a force.
I think a lot of times we get so caught up with all the glitz and glamour of the high-profile draft picks that we forget a lot of times that the true body of a team is built from the lower rounds and finding those diamonds in the rough, those undrafted type players.
Those ABs, guys like that.
Absolutely. Continuing with our look at some potential draft targets for the Eagles, we take a look at Notre Dame defensive tackle Jerry Tillery. An imposing figure, 6'6", 295 pounds. He ran the 40-yard dash at 4.93, has a vertical leap of 32 inches. Now, last season, he racked up 10.5 tackles for losses, 8 sacks, and forced 3 fumbles. So it is time now to talk a little bit more about Mr. Tillery. And Barrett, when you look at this guy's length, is there an NFL player you can compare him to?
You know what? I'm going to compare him to 2 guys. One guy I played with and one guy I played against. Aaron Smith, when I played with the Steelers, is a guy that really fits the mold just like him. A 2-gap guy, and that's exactly what he is, a 2-gap guy. And when I say 2-gap, that means he has the outside gap and the inside gap, and he has to control the guy in front of him in order to take care of those 2 gaps, because the running back goes outside, he's got to shed, go get him on outside or the inside. Or you got to look at Justin Smith. Justin Smith was a really good defensive player that played with the 49ers. I played with him when he was the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a guy that was strong, could pressure you, could throw you down. He's definitely an opposing player. So he's definitely a guy that I would say them, and that's being in great talents when it comes to guys like that.
All right, let's take it to the tape here to see what you're talking about, even more so about Tillery.
Or watch. When I say 2-gap, this is what I'm talking about. As him at the defensive end position, head up on the tackle, he hits him, bench presses him, and you see the running back can go inside or outside. That's what I mean by 2-gap. He throws him inside, and that's a 300-pound man that he threw outside. He just threw him, ragdolled him, went in to make the play. Watch this. He's down here at the bottom of the screen. Watch him 2-gap. Captures the outside, throws him on the outside, and takes both guys, the tackle and the running back, at one time. Here he is right here. This just goes to show the athletic talent he has. He can get up the field with penetration and go make a play on the running back. He's that good of an athlete. Plus, at defense, they get cut a lot. You're not going to be able to see it right here, but he gets cut. But after the cut, he's able to move laterally down the line of scrimmage and still go make the play on a pretty good running back. A lot of offensive linemen like to cut guys. Once again, I want to show you again. He's going to get cut on this play, but he's still able to get up the field after he gets cut, go down the line of scrimmage, and still go in and pile and make a play on the running back. He's a big, strong, imposing guy. Like you said, 6'6", 300-some pounds. He can go out there and make a difference. I just don't see him making a difference on this team. He is a 2-gap player. Schwartz wants guys that can penetrate, get up the field, and create a presence on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He's one of those guys that he puts guys and presses guys, and that's how he plays the defense. So we're a four-down guy, gap, get up the field. He's more of a 3 technique for like the Steelers, 49ers, that's going to 2-gap and throw guys down to go make a play.
Now, even though you don't think he's a fit here, do you think he'll be long gone off the board by the time the Eagles select?
I've seen numerous drafts. In my breakdown, I don't see him as a first-round guy, but I've seen teams that have a need him. He's an acquired taste. Like Feinway, he's an acquired taste. With the Steelers, he'll be a great guy. 49ers will be a great guy, but not in sports system when they're 4-gap guys to try to get up the field.
All right, so the Eagles couldn't use this guy, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Man. Back here on Slants, as we continue to get set for the upcoming NFL draft, it's time to bring in another expert on the situation. So we go to our friend Josh Norris of the NBC Sports Network. And Josh, in our last segment, we just broke down Notre Dame's Jerry Tillery. Where do you have him on your big board, and where do you see him coming off the board?
First of all, I appreciate you not attempting a joke. That's perfect.
Why would I do that to you?
Second, I absolutely love Jerry Tillery. Jerry Tillery, in my first board a couple weeks ago, was at number 13 overall. He's going to finish out in the top 10 in my list. I have this bias towards interior defensive linemen that have bend, that have flexibility, that when they react to a surprise movement in front of them, they are able to not waste any movement and still make the play in the backfield with the running back or the quarterback. I think he's a disruptor. I think he's a pass rusher. And I think any team that could draft him, and I even look at the Colts at 26, he'd be a perfect fit for there.
We've talked a lot about defensive linemen in this draft, and there are 3 studs at Clemson right now. How do you rank them 3?
Yeah, you know, I think people might believe since Clemson's defensive front was outstanding that they should be at the top of this list. And I've Christian Wilkins, obviously the interior defensive lineman at 15, Clellan Ferrell around 27, and then big Dexter Lawrence at number 30. Dexter Lawrence is an interesting one because obviously he's great and sturdy and is an anchor against the run. Yeah. I'm just not sure how much of an impact he can make in pass rushing situations. I don't know if you've gotten to watch him, Barrett, but, you know, I want someone that can get up the field, that can disrupt. And I think at his peak, he's Linval Joseph, but he's not that. Maybe he's like a Kyle Love type that is great at the line of scrimmage, but nothing more.
All right, Josh, we think the Eagles might be in the market for a running back, perhaps as early as day 2. Is there a guy on your board you think would be a real find at that position?
Yeah, thanks for giving me the platform to talk about one of my favorite players in this draft. And his name is Devine Ozigbo out of Nebraska. I understand if you haven't heard of him. If you haven't, go and watch some of his YouTube highlights. He really didn't have a major season until his senior year. He was an NFL Combine invite. But what he gives you is long speed when a lane is created for him to create big plays, but he's fantastic at creating yards on his own on contact. I will say that if you want, you know, a little more juice in the backfield, a little more long speed and big playability, Darrell Henderson out of Memphis makes a lot of sense for the Eagles as well.
Okay, then. Well, who do you think will be the first receiver off the board? Do you think DK Metcalf is that guy?
I think he will be the first receiver off the board. I think he's, you know, mostly the name that people have at the top of the list, but to me, he's not the number 1 wide receiver in this class. I understand why a lot of people love him. He's an athletic freak who'll just completely overpower a lot of the defenders that try to line up against him. But to me, the number 1 prospect at the position in this class is Akeem Butler out of Iowa State. Absolutely love what he brings to an NFL team.
All right, Josh, as always, can't thank you enough for being with us. Can't wait to talk to you again next week as we continue to get closer to the draft, my man.
Love it, DG. Talk to you soon.
And I promise you, no jokes next week.
You better not. Stick to your day job.
All right, man. Good talking to you. All right, Barrett, do you think there's any chance the Eagles could take a receiver in the first round?
I don't think so because there's so much money tied up in the wide receiver position right now that they can't afford to go out there and get a big wide receiver at this point. I mean, you got $9 million, you know, at the slot position right now. And of course, you know, the guys on the outside are wanting top dollar also. So at this point, we have too much money tied up in that wide receiver position, especially to go high with it. So I think they like the guys they have right now.
All right, and on that note, that's a wrap for this edition of Quick Slants presented by Nissan. For Barrett Brooks, I'm Derek Gunn. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow.